I wasn't always too loud. There was a time I tried to fit in, a time I nodded politely when people interrupted me, smiled when they stole my ideas, laughed off the jokes that punched down instead of up. Because that's what you're supposed to do, right? Blend in, play nice, keep the peace, especially when you look like me, especially when they already expect you to be too much. I got my first corporate job at 24. Fresh degree in hand, brand new suit I couldn't really afford, hope bubbling up inside me like a shaken soda can. Bright future ahead. That's what everyone told me. But they didn't warn me about what it would cost. At first, it was subtle. The side glances when I spoke up in meetings, the tight smiles when I offered feedback, the way my suggestions were written down, but never actually discussed. I adjusted. I modulated my voice. I softened my opinions. I second-guessed every email, every meeting invite, every casual conversation. Still, the feedback came. Not about my work. My work was fine. About me. You're very passionate. You have a strong personality. You could work on being more approachable. What they meant was simple. Be quieter. Be smaller. Be easier to ignore. I tried. God, I tried. For 2 years, I twisted myself into shapes they still didn't like. And every time I compromised a piece of myself, they moved the goalpost further away. The real breaking point came during a team retreat, some overpriced leadership workshop where we were supposed to bond and build trust. There was an exercise, some corporate version of group therapy, where people could give open feedback to their coworkers. I already knew what was coming, still stung when it happened, though. One by one, my colleagues stood up and said the same thing. You're very loud. You're intimidating. Sometimes your energy is too much. No mention of the times I stayed late to help them finish their projects. No mention of the hours I spent mentoring interns without extra pay. No mention of the deals I closed, the clients I saved, the money I brought in. Just too loud. Too much. That night, alone in my hotel room, staring at the ugly carpet and the overpriced minibar, I made a decision. I wasn't going to make myself smaller anymore. If my voice was too loud for their little world, then maybe it was time to build a bigger world. I quit the next week. No 2 weeks notice, no long goodbye email, no regrets, just my badge tossed on the front desk and a fire in my chest that nothing could put out. Starting my own company wasn't easy. I didn't have venture capital, didn't have rich uncles, didn't have a fancy MBA or a network of old money connections. What I had was louder, ideas, ambition, work ethic they couldn't match even on their best day. At first, I ran things from my kitchen table, me and my laptop and a secondhand coffee machine that whined louder than I did. Clients didn't come fast, money didn't flow easy. There were nights I ate ramen for dinner and wondered if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. But deep down, under the fear, there was something else. Peace. Because even when I was broke, even when I was scared, I was free. Over time, it grew. First, a couple of freelance gigs, then a retainer, then my first full-time hire, a woman who told me during her interview through tears that she'd been told her whole career she was too intense. I smiled and said, "Good. You'll fit right in." We built a culture where voices weren't just tolerated, they were celebrated, where disagreement wasn't seen as aggression, where passion wasn't mistaken for threat, where nobody had to sit in a workshop and hear that who they were was a liability. Fast forward 3 years, my company stands where theirs used to. One of my biggest contracts? An account Benton and Gray used to hold before they collapsed under the weight of their own corruption. Yeah, the irony isn't lost on me. Sometimes I run into my old colleagues at industry events. They blink at me across crowded hotel ballrooms, nervous smiles, too late apologies hidden behind fake laughs. I don't hate them. They were playing by rules they didn't create. But I don't excuse them either, because silence is a choice. And so is complicity. Sometimes people ask me if I ever think about going back, if I'd ever take a cushy corporate job again now that I've proven myself. I just laugh. Because once you taste freedom, once you realize your voice doesn't need permission to exist, You never go back. You only move forward. So to anyone out there who's been told you're too much, too loud, too smart, too stubborn, too emotional, too intense, let me tell you something. You're not too much. You're just too big for small minds. Keep speaking. Keep dreaming. Keep building the world that deserves you. And when they say you're too loud again, smile. And turn up the volume.